Okay, we're
Yes.
live. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 141. We're going to call this security apps. I mean, really, maybe some of them are not secure, but we think they're secure. We don't really know, but we have a lot of things. Tom's going to first start off with how much he really hates PGP. He's not going to like hold back from us.
Yeah, no, I need some 2 minutes of hate here on PGP specifically. So I fired up my email client because I love the year 1994 and I still use an email client. Um, and it warned me. Thunderbird and Enigmail said, "Hey, your key expires in 30 days. You might want to get on that." I was like, "Oh no, I set this thing up 5 years ago. I did that just so I would have 5 years to figure out a decent way to change your PGP key or to make the process a little less painful." And you know what's happened in 5 years since I first created that key? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, GPG supports ecliptic curve keys, but nothing else does. So I can't reliably use that. So now I've got to create another RSA 4096 key, but I don't want to make it 5 years because maybe RSA gets popped or it just keeps getting more awful to use. Maybe other things will support the ecliptic curve keys. So let's make it 3 years. But then how do you get the key everywhere? So now I've got to upload it to key servers. I've got to sign it with my old key. I've got to then export it. I've got to push it to all these places. I've got to post it on my blog with a cross signing between my key and the new key. And this is a mess. How on earth are normal people supposed to do this?
Well, they're supposed to trust encryption apps that claim military grade encryption.
I really think that's the only thing left that we can do at this point. I mean, PGP is just such a train wreck to use outside of, having someone manage the private key for you, which I don't recommend. I can't really recommend that at all. But Keybase makes it really easy to do.
Well, remember, PGP was created by Phil Zimmerman in like 1981. So in
Yeah.
1981, it was awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, for crypto and for the security it offers, it's very good. But it's so easy to hurt yourself with it. It's so easy to make, to lose control of your key. And then if you lose control of the key, that's it. That's it. Game over. Everything is compromised. But with Signal, maybe that message, maybe a couple messages are compromised, but because the keys in Signal are ephemeral, they're generated and thrown away all the time. It doesn't matter if a key is compromised. Who cares, right? Just another one's going to be generated. Good luck cracking that one now.
So what you're saying, we need to create a hashtag called Make PGP Great Again?
That's what I'm saying. We need to make PGP great again.
I mean, or maybe it's just not real. Maybe we have to make it great for the first time.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be the best option. And I don't want to hate on the GPG project. I don't want to hate on Werner. He does great work. He is vastly underfunded, and GPG is one of the core pieces of technology used in the internet today. It's used for verification, for signing, for authentication, for validation. I mean, it's one of these core, very important pieces of internet technology. I just wish it wasn't. I wish something, general purpose enough were built that we could just throw it everywhere and use it for everything. But it's not an easy problem to solve. Authentication and authority is never an easy problem.
I mean, when I first started with PGP, I don't know, 3 years ago, I mean, I had someone walk me through it. And the problem is that somebody walking you through it and you still got it wrong. Okay, now make the key. Okay, you made the key. Now store it here. Okay, I stored it here. Oh, now you got to upload it to this. And I go, where is the easiest? Oh, no, you can't just do that. You have to push it and you have to do this and you have to do that. And then now PGP doesn't, or GPG tools doesn't work with Mail app on Sierra. So now it's, do you keep an old version to do PGP? And by the way, Tom and I are the only people in our group that use it. So it's really not worth it.
One or two of our listeners has sent me encrypted emails before.
But yeah, it's like one or two.
Yeah, it's certainly not very many. I've gotten probably 8 PGP encrypted emails in my life. I like it. It's great. I would much rather an email be sent with PGP than not, but it's still a pain. And also, you did it wrong. When that guy was training you, he did it wrong, and he hurt you in the long run. And I did it wrong just now, and I fully understand that I did it wrong, and that's why I'm going to have a relatively short key life. Because what you're really supposed to do is generate a signing key pair or a certification key pair, and then use that to generate a subkey. And you keep your subkey on your devices. And then you take that other key and you put it on a USB stick and put it in a safety deposit box or something, and then remove it from your computer. Like, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess, with the idea being that the safety deposit box has your actual identity and your laptop just has one of the signed identities. Normal people could never do this properly. They can never use it safely. And that's why, when people tweet and they yell at Moxie and Open Whisper Systems about Signal, and they yell at WhatsApp and say, oh, you're just throwing your stuff into centralized systems. Yeah, we are, because it's the most usable thing out there. And there's no chance that someone could hurt themselves using Signal. There's a huge chance they could hurt themselves misusing Tor or misusing PGP.
So it was, and look, you're right. And it's just setting it up and everything else. And there are all these funny cartoons. Yes, I got it. Now no one's going to be able to break it. Oh, wait, nobody else cares. And that's the other problem. It's we heard the Snowden stories that Snowden was shopping around and Glenn Greenwald had to be walked through many times.
Yep.
And this is after he didn't really want to listen to him. And they eventually got it, and look what happened since then. But
yeah, I don't want to hate on it too much. PGP and GPG are very important. They are core pieces of technology, but they're not the right answer today. They're not the right answer for the types of attacks we're seeing. For the long form, I'm going to compromise you and your endpoint. Nothing. I will go as far as to say nothing will protect you if you're being targeted by a state actor. But if you're trying to evade dragnet surveillance, PGP is not as good of an answer as something like WhatsApp or Signal.
I mean, I have a police officer friend. I have a few police officer friends, and he was telling me about some stories that are going around. And he goes, "Yeah, the DA has they're like a 1-year backup from breaking into these phones, and they really need it to do their job, this and that, and it's a 1 year." So clearly, people are interested, but it's still not bulletproof yet, because if they're still getting in by whatever means they're doing it, buying an exploit or whatever it is, we still need to be more secure. But that's the threat model that you're looking for. For the most part, nation states, like if the FBI is going after you, you have a lot of other problems.
Yeah,
So,
I completely agree.
but if a local police, if the local police and they send it to the DA, and if it goes up past that, so if they're going to the state level, I mean, it's probably not going to get that far. But just look, if you could use Signal, we talk about Signal, we talk about WhatsApp. You know what? Start becoming more secure, and you'll feel better about it.
So how secure do I have to be if I'm going to take my devices across a country's border, specifically now the U.S. borders?
I mean, I don't know. They look, so the story goes that a JPL astronaut, looked like a foreign national, except he was American with an American passport and came into America. He was in Chile for some solar powered race, and I mean, they detained him and they made him decrypt his phone, put his passcode in. And the question is, can they do that? And the answer is no, they can't, but you're going to be detained. And how long do you really want to be detained for? Now, they got classified information from JPL, the Jet Propulsion part of NASA. So this guy was now guilty, questionably, of spreading classified documents, but it was another federal agency saying, give it to us or else. And the or else is just sitting in a jail cell until some lawyer gets you out.
Yeah, this whole situation is absolutely ridiculous. And with the internet and with the technology we have today, it's possible to avoid this, right? You don't have to carry flash drives full of encrypted, Snowden level NSA documents on a flash drive on your person or on your phone and physically walk across the border, right? We have these magical wires that go all over the world. And sometimes these magical wires are underneath the ocean in huge bundles. And we can securely send data through those wires to anywhere in the world. It's a magical, magical thing. The fact that the border guards are searching all this stuff is, I want to call it security theater. I could see maybe just a tiny smidge of actual value in that, but there's really none, right? It's the same thing that you get when the TSA pats you down or puts you through the radiation machine, right? Maybe they catch something, but as we've seen, what is it, 70% of the time, 90% of the time, somebody walks onto a plane with a gun. And that was their own assessment. That wasn't even like an adversarial assessment. They tested their own people, and they found that they were largely ineffective. When it comes to, border people or border guards finding stuff on, human trafficking or drug trade files or you name whatever they're looking for, they're not going to find anything. The people who want to hide this stuff know how to hide it. And if you have, the type of, I'm blanking on the technical term for it, but the type of encryption where you can put in one password and get one vault or one password and get a completely different vault, they're not going to find anything anyway.
So if you want a good person on Twitter to follow, and he's very, very technical, and we don't actually know his real name unless Tom does, it's at the TheGrugq, the Grug. I think that's how you pronounce it. We know he's South African, but he talks about the operational security of a lot of different things. And he was saying, or he retweeted from somebody that said, why are they asking for people's social media passwords, like your Facebook password, so they can check Facebook? If you're going to do something, don't you think you're going to delete that? Like, you don't know how to have like a separate Facebook, or it's one of these. Don't you think that people are going to know that? What are you trying to accomplish other than waste time? That's not a psychological profile. That's just, we need your Twitter password because you're going to start publicly saying things on Twitter. This is all a show of force. It's all theater. It serves the same purpose as marching your army down Main Street. There's a lot of oohs, a lot of ahs. The people who don't actually think about it think, oh, wow, these people are protecting us. This is theater and show, and it's all fake through and through. But the results of it are not fake, right? The protections are absolutely fake. The protections don't actually exist. But the results of holding up, some guy from JPL in a cell all day, yeah, those repercussions are real. Throwing away your, all of your Twitter passwords and social media passwords and knowing that federal agencies have logged into your social media account, yeah, that result, that's real. Knowing that your encryption passphrase and probably your devices themselves have been compromised by federal agents at that point, yeah, that result is real. There's nothing good to come out of this, and only very bad, very real things. And to close, look, you're at Border Patrol, you're tired, you just want to go home, you have work in 3 hours, you're landing at Kennedy, all these other nonsense things, and now somebody says, I need the passcode to your phone. Now you have to make a moral decision. Do you want to sit there and fight it, or do you just want to get into the country and be just done with it? Because if you're not really hiding anything, you're saying, whatever, I don't care. But if you have conviction, then you say, you know what, maybe I could spend a few hours in jail while they figure out that they can't actually do that and everything else. But again, who wants to do that, especially if you have kids and everything else, and who cares?
There's two little things I'd like to close this topic with. Jonathan Zdarsky ended up posting this. Yeah, he posted a clip from a paper that says the ACLU says the government has searched cameras, hard drives, flash drives, laptops, cell phones, and other devices. And here's a quote: between July 2008 and June 2009, border agents transferred data found on travelers' electronic devices to other federal agencies over 280 times. Half the time, these unnamed agencies asserted an independent basis for retaining or seizing the data. This means that when Border Patrol takes your phone and you unlock it for them, they make a copy of all of the data. And it's a grab bag for every federal agency who wants to get their hands on it. All right? 280 times. And these federal agencies just say, yeah, we want it for our independent reasons. We're not going to tell you. We don't have to justify anything. And they go unnamed. The stuff isn't being tracked anywhere. That's absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason to do that. And second, if you would like a nice, handy tip to evade all of this, and I know, when I leave the country, when I go outside the borders, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab myself, either a burner phone or something, and I'm going to have no passwords, no passphrases. I'm going to make up some fake social media account, start posting like basketball scores or something that I don't actually care about. And then when I land in whatever country I'm in, I can recover an image, or better yet, don't take any electronic devices, buy a cheap burner in the country you're going to, and restore your encrypted image from an internet-enabled backup. That stuff would work. That would get completely around all of this snooping. Now, border guards are probably going to look at you, pretty shadily if you walk through with no electronics at all. So, I don't know, take a Kindle or something. Make it look not suspicious.
I mean, I don't think it's suspicious to go on vacation to say, you know what, we don't have the roaming data, especially if you're on Verizon or AT&T. We're not paying the international charge. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. No, we're going on a cruise. What do we need a laptop for? We don't want to get away from work. All right. And absolutely. So don't you listen to music? No, I talk to my kids. I mean, they can do that. And I've heard all these things to say how to answer custom guards, like they're not allowed to really ask you if it's personal or business and all these other things, but you have to make it. And here's like a real life story. You go to Walmart or you go to, I think Best Buy is the other one, where they ask to scan your receipt at the way out. You don't have to do that because that wasn't a term of condition of entering the store. They just made that up. So if you want to spend 4 hours in their like backroom prison while the cops tell Walmart what's up, you can do it. But what do? You just say, here you go. So next time you're at Walmart and they ask to look at your receipt, you can just say no. You're going to spend some time with them, but if you're in no rush or you want to like have a good story, say no.
One little tip: if you are taking your phone or your laptop, even if you are wiping it and you're going to restore it later, keep in mind it is possible and not unheard of. This is actually fairly common to physically compromise these devices. Phones are a little harder, right? Because they're thin. They're going to be hard to actually take apart and shove bad hardware in there. Laptops, pretty easy. There's like tiny little. My webcam is getting all kinds of blurry today. I apologize, but it's fairly easy to take. A laptop keyboard connector, and basically put a pass-through device on it to collect and or transmit keystrokes being typed on that device. So just keep that in mind. It can be a hardware compromise. Doesn't necessarily have to be software. And just because you wipe the device doesn't mean it's safe to use.
I wonder if you put something like that and you say, hey, I'm putting this on. By the way, customs, there's a complete keyboard device. So everything you do, I'm going to see. And by the way, I can't take it off because it's a rootkit. I mean, we know that companies do that. I wonder if we can do that.
That would be interesting.
So we're going to know what you're doing.
Let's say you take a complete, unibody single-piece MacBook. Right? It's pretty difficult to sort of shim stuff in that. It's been tried before, but the results most of the time, unless they're really good at it, aren't pretty. But
So
when you have a Dell, Lenovo, any other type of PC that comes apart, especially the enterprise stuff, oh yeah, I could probably shim my own laptop in a minute, maybe two. And when they take your machine, they're going to have it for at least that long, probably an hour or so.
So let's go with this life hacker article. I mean, we're talking about crossing the border. So again, it's life hacker put an article, will be in the show notes, about if you want to be a privacy enthusiast guide to using an iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, which, I mean, unless you have a Google Pixel or a Nexus phone, the iPhone's probably your most secure option. I mean, Google does a pretty good job. So it's either an iPhone or a Google device, not Samsung or LG or Motorola, but either an iPhone or a Google, specifically Nexus or Pixel. They have some tricks for you, some tips, and they sound pretty good. The first one is set a strong alphanumeric password. So on Android, you have your PIN lock, which we know is insecure. On Apple, you have you could put a 4-digit PIN, which they now made 6-digit PIN. But they also have an option that you can get the full keyboard and put an actual password in. And even if you don't do it, you're making the key size much, much longer. So even if you keep it to a 4-digit PIN, a 4-digit number, the people at customs don't know that. So you have this, you can just put a very long password and you have to type it in every single time.
Yeah, it's the password lock, and even just like you said, bringing up the password keyboard when you open your phone, but keeping a PIN can easily freak some people out. That said, if you don't give them your passcode, you'll probably have to give it up unless you want to be detained for at least a little bit. But yeah, it can be enough to set some people off.
I mean, even if you're stopped by law enforcement, that's another thing.
Yes, okay. Very much so.
So the next thing is don't use Touch ID. And we've all know, so yes, you shouldn't use anything with a fingerprint because we know that they can ask you for it.
Yeah, which has been proven in court several times now. But, and we might have covered this in a previous episode, there's a clever lawyer who said, hold on a minute. You asked my client to unlock their phone, to give you their fingerprint so they could unlock their phone. But in asking them to unlock it themselves, you ask them to choose the proper finger to unlock their phone, thereby essentially making them self-incriminate, which is against the Bill of Rights.
No, it's not self-incriminate. It's because they found a way around that. It's using your mind. So you're asking the person to produce something in their mind, which they may or may not know.
Okay.
So the new thing is not unlocking it. It's please get us. You have to get us in. And because just by merely providing the password, you're not incriminating yourself because you're just putting the password in. That's what the judge's ruling in Florida is saying that they're appealing. That just takes you to the home screen. You're not incriminating because there's no fraud right on the home screen, which I don't agree with, but that's what now they're saying. So we want to be careful.
I wonder what happens if you put fraud right on the home screen. Like if I've got an app called like illegalstuff.apk, and it's just filled with all kinds of illegal stuff, like how to cheat at casinos and how to torrent movies and stuff like that. Could I get around it then?
Well, I mean, there's a few things you can do. First off, if you ever think you're going into a position where you may be asked to unlock your phone, turn your phone off. Because on both Android and iOS, you have to put your PIN in or your alphanumeric password, whatever you want to call it, and you can't use your finger. So that's the first thing. Second, with iOS, you can set it to after one attempt, you can change that all the way down to not allow you to, you must then continue with your password, which is fine. To go what you're saying, I'm not going to tell you which finger. And then with that said, don't use your thumb on iOS or your index finger on Android to unlock your phone.
Yeah. So we can continue down this list. And a lot of the stuff, even though the article is specifically iPhone, it works on Android too. Delete any widgets that display personal info, like all your lock screen stuff. Yeah, yeah, get rid of that.
So on Android, at least on the newest version, on M and N, they give you the option to say, "Is this secure?" and not show it. So it says that you have a Hangout message or WhatsApp, but you don't know what it is until you go in.
Yeah, and that could tip some people off, right? Only security conscious people use Signal, right? Everyone uses WhatsApp. That's not too too telling. But when a Signal message pops up, it can lead to some, at the very least, put you in a group of people you don't want to be in.
And then Signal will even disable that, so you don't have to do that.
Right.
Home screen features. I mean, same idea. Don't have fraud on your home screen.
Yeah. Disable tracking in location services. Yeah, that's a given. Turn off location access and apps that don't need it. That's pretty much a given too. Remove notification previews. These are great. So by default, I know on Android, they'll say, hey, you get a message from WhatsApp. It says this. You can turn off notification previews, and they won't show on your lock screen. They'll show, hey, WhatsApp, but that's it. It won't give you any more information than that. Turn on two-factor authentication. Yeah. Enable Find My iPhone. Absolutely. If only for the remote wipe capability.
Well, so that's an issue. So to enable Find My iPhone, you need to have location services on at some level. So, I mean, you have to be careful there what you enable and what you don't. iPhone, I don't have an iPhone, so I can't verify what the granularity is. Can you determine on every single app, or do you have to have a certain class of apps? Things like that. But you do want Find My iPhone, if just so you know where it is to wipe it.
Yeah, and keep in mind that any law enforcement agent worth their salt, if they are well trained, they are going to take that to a secure Faraday room or put it in a Faraday cage bag of some kind. So even if you do hit remote wipe, it'll only wipe when it's outside of that radio-proof room. Now, I've seen sometimes where they don't do that and the stuff gets wiped, but most law enforcement's gotten smart enough to carry around baggies that will disable that. So put like a battery pack in there so it doesn't die, and put it in a Faraday bag. I'd like to see a security feature where if it's out of signal for any more than 5 minutes, it locks down the phone, or an hour, something unnatural for a phone to be without signal for.
And then let's quickly go through like the rest of these, because there's one more at the bottom I want. Basically, use Signal, use WhatsApp as your messenger, use an alternative browser like Brave or Firefox Focus that disables some ad tracking. Use a different mail app like Proton Mail or Gmail. I don't know why they said Gmail, but maybe Google fights a little harder.
Google fights very hard for their users' privacy in the majority of cases.
And then LastPass or another password manager, and then a VPN if you're VPNing. I've never heard of Keeply, but it's secure notes. Basically, anything that iCloud gets, you want to avoid using. And that's their thing. And the last thing they're saying is, and I need someone to verify this, you can go into iCloud backups and you can turn a lot of it off. Like we recommend everyone turn off WhatsApp backups on, because what do you need all those old messages for? If you redo your phone, if it's important to you, you'll get them back. But disable things that could give away your information or what you're doing, like iMessage backups and everything else, or WhatsApp or Signal or whatever else.
And when you get to technology spring cleaning, like if you're running patches, reinstalling OSs, stuff like that, go through Signal, go through WhatsApp, and you can hit the clear all the old messages, and it'll go through and it'll clean sweep everything. It gets rid of any evidence you might have built up or incriminating things, and B, it's data, right? I mean, it's text, it's kilobytes max, but it's data. You can clean it out.
So
it's a clean feeling on the inside.
And just to remind you again, if this is a thing for you, wherever you're going, you know what? Wipe your phone, keep a backup, and iCloud does encrypted backups locally. You can do that, or same with Android. I think you can do an encrypted backup. Wipe your phone, put very little. You can skip give us an account number in, and you could still make your phone calls. And when you're back, you just restore from it.
Yeah, I love the idea of recovering the stuff you actually need from an internet encrypted backup somewhere after you get to your destination. It's it's just better that way.
So at that point, we're really done. We're just about out of time. So we will leave you there, and we will see you all next week.
See you, everyone.
Bye.